Hi, I'm Sandy from Lightning Tools, and I'm here again with Brett. How are you today?
Well, good. Thanks. Yeah, very good. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Did you have a
Good,
good
good.
week last week at Commsverse?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's not the sneaker, the Converse. It's
Right.
the Commsverse.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great. Great event. So
Mhm.
we
It's kind of a
were
new one, right?
they ran it last year, uh, and I think they were intending on running it about 2 years prior to that, but
Mm.
obviously the pandemic happened and blah blah blah. That's that story. But yeah, they went ahead with it last year, um, and it had apparently a very different feel to it. There
Mm.
was one-way traffic going around the expo hall
Uh,
and
uh,
and, and things like that. But yeah, they were able to do a really good event, and it was held at Mercedes World, which was
cool.
fantastic because I got to well, we just had like a 30-second walk from where our booth was to where the F1 cars were, the Mercedes F1 cars. So,
Huh.
yeah, we could see like last year's McLaren.
Oh, wow.
Last year's McLaren.
Uh,
Last year's Mercedes. They'll shoot me
uh-huh.
for saying
Uh-huh.
that. So last year's Mercedes, the W12, which was Lewis
Mm.
Hamilton's car.
Okay.
So that was right by us, and then there's a
Mm.
few other cars as well, like Formula E, which is the sort
Mm.
of electric
The,
version of
mm.
Formula One. So you
Hmm.
could see the Mercedes car there
Oh,
and some other cars, which is fantastic.
very cool. I wonder if very many people thought that our whole booth design with the F1 theme was
It was
because
because of
we
that.
were, yeah, but
Maybe.
we've had it for years.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that whole pit crew idea is more about the tools. So if you imagine
Right.
a car coming into the pits, they can't. In fact, this happened. I was watching the F1 in Silverstone on Sunday this week, and Sarah, my wife, doesn't often watch the Formula One, but Lewis Hamilton was doing pretty good. He's had a terrible year so far, and he came into the pits, and I was like, "Oh no!" She goes, "What?" I was like, "It's a 4 second pit stop." She's like, "Well, that's good, isn't it?" I went, "No, it should be 2 seconds." So, so yeah, that slowed him down because it was
Jeez,
like
that's
4 seconds.
crazy.
So,
That's crazy.
so yeah, they can put a set of tires on a Formula One car in 2 seconds and have you out of the pit. So you can't do that unless you have the right tools, and that's why we have the whole pit crew
Mhm.
background on our
Mm.
website and so on. So I know you know that, but maybe the
Yeah.
audience doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's always good to know.
Mm. So yeah, and speaking of, we
Mhm.
actually have a brand new tool,
Mhm.
which is more along those lines as well. So
Mm.
something that will also save you a great deal of time, maybe
Great.
more than 2 seconds it will save you, but it will be the equivalent of jacking up the car yourself using
Uh-huh.
maybe that free little jack that you get inside the trunk and changing out the tires
Uh-huh.
versus having the pit crew tools. So
Cool. And that is our MyTeams tool, right?
exactly,
Mm.
yeah, that's the my team. So I know
Mhm.
we spoke about it briefly last week, but for anybody
Mhm.
that didn't tune into that, this is something that brings you the content from the teams that you find are most important to you.
Mm.
So, of course, when people are creating teams all the time, which they do, and they might think that, I'll include Brett and I'll include Sandy as members just in case they want to,
Right.
contribute or whatever. You can actually end up being a member of many, many teams. And there's, of course, conversations in there that you don't necessarily need to be tuned into all of the time.
Mhm.
There's files in there. There's also channel events as well getting
Mm.
created in each of the different channels of those teams. So the whole idea of my teams is for you to really sort of go through and select, hey, these are the teams that are most important to me and doing my job,
Mhm.
so that you can see that information quickly coming from those teams. So
Right. I mean, you'll still be able to see your other teams on the in Teams, but yeah, this gives you a way of sort of
yeah,
filtering out some of that noise when you want to
exactly,
do that each
exactly.
morning or whatever.
Do you want to dive in and have a look?
Yeah, yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's just share my screen here.
And
Uh,
we had only just really officially announced this during our webinar the week before last, and then you demoed it some at the conference last week, right?
yeah,
What did people think?
yeah, we were getting some great feedback.
Mm.
So I think people are seeing the need
Mm.
for something like this. So
Cool.
great. So yeah, here we are in Teams, and I happen to have Social Squared open. So it's nothing to do with Social Squared, but what I just want to focus in on is the left-hand side here. So you'll notice that inside of Teams, we of course have displayed on the left-hand side the navigation for all of the teams that I'm a member of. The ones at the top are the ones that I've pinned. So, that is one way of getting straight to some of the teams that are most important to you. You can pin them at the top, but then you still have to sort of navigate down to the different channels and different tabs and so on to see those. And of course, we could, scroll up and down and see, if something's bold, there's usually some activity going on in there, and we click onto that to take a look. But, you can do a lot of scrolling up and down through that left-hand pane. So the idea is that with MyTeams, we can open up MyTeams as a personal app over there on the left-hand side, and we can configure these 3 tiles for the information that we want to see. And we're planning on increasing these tiles as we develop the product further on. So if we take a look at events, first of all, now events, I think, is the biggest win here, because when you create a channel event, so that the steps to do this are you're inside a team, you maybe go inside a channel. If you just take for our case, for example, we've got an R&D team, and inside the R&D team is a channel for each product. So maybe we want to have a meeting about Deliver Point. So what I could do is go down to the Deliver Point channel, and I could add a meeting in there. Now, you'd assume by doing that everybody's going to know that meeting exists, but what actually happens, it may make it to the posts tab, but that could be easily overlooked with people putting their GIFs there and everything else. And unless you're actually physically invited to that meeting, you're not really going to know that that's going to exist. So you could end up not showing up for that meeting. You could, if you wanted to, go and add the there is a channel calendar app that you can add, but that would mean going through and manually adding that to every single channel. So this is a great win for that. What we can do is just simply click on to the view events, and what you'll see in here is the fact that I've got the events coming from those teams that I'm most interested in seeing, and we can see the different meetings, and we've got that ability to go through and join them, as well as see the other people that are going to be joining them or are invited to that meeting as well. And you can configure this. So clicking onto the cog icon there, this shows you all of your teams that you're a member of. And as you can see, we can just switch on or switch off the ones that we want to include, as well as choose how much activity we actually want to see as well. And yeah, once we've done that, that's configured. That's all you need to do. And you can click onto view events and jump straight to it. And there is another setting in there. You've got the card view, or you've also got a grid view as well, so you can find out which one of these better suits. But yeah, you can see there the different teams and the meetings that way if you prefer that view.
I especially like the fact that you can join the meeting right from there.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we've also got app mentions. So this works in a similar way. I can just simply click on to see posts. So this is literally where somebody mentions me by name with inside those posts tabs. So in here, I can see under the R&D, there's 2 app mentions, and over here in tech support, there's an app mention. So it's a great way of just not missing that app mention. If you're anything like me, you may be in a meeting, you're on Do Not Disturb, and you miss the fact that somebody app mentioned you, and you just find it by accident later on, and then apologize for not getting back to them sooner. So this is actually a great way of sort of catching up on that.
Yeah, because I mean that'll appear on your little notification bell in Teams, but along with all the this person liked to that, and that person gave a smiley face, and
Exactly. So same sort of configuration. You can choose how much activity you want to see. You can choose which teams you want to include on that, and then you've also again got the card view or the grid view that you can use for that one. So if we go in on the grid view here, you can see that that's just displayed a little bit differently. And then the third one is the files. So if we click onto view files, we will see all of the different files and folders coming from each of the different teams as well. that
Again,
we
just the
chose
ones
to
that you
include.
selected. Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly. So yeah, same configuration behind that cog. You go and turn on the teams that you want to include, and that is a huge win for me. I'm quite often thinking, oh, where is that file? Is it under sales or is it under marketing or whatever? And then you have to go to that files tab and navigate the folders in order to find it. So yeah, here's just a quick sort of reminder as to where those things might be. You got a quicker access to them.
Yeah. When I first looked at MyTeams, I thought to myself, well, I was not sure about having to choose the teams for each of those views, but then later on, I came around to thinking, well, it's probably true that while there are probably some teams that I want in all of the views, there are also probably some teams that are kind of more file heavy that I would want on that files tab. Some that I know people will create events in, I would want that on the events tab versus, so it might be a different group of teams that you want in each of those scenarios.
Yeah,
So that
for
makes
sure.
sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, so excellent. Well, that's MyTeams.
Okay, very cool. And I like the name too. I think it really emphasizes that it's specific to you and to how the way you work, and how you best can navigate through all your teams.
Yeah, absolutely right. So wonderful.
Cool.
Well, be great, to get some feedback. So if anybody's interested in trialing that and kicking the tires on it, it'd be
Yep. Yeah, I'll put a link in
great
the
to know.
description. It's available now for download from our website for a trial. And the pricing page is also available, I think.
Absolutely
But
is.
yeah, and information and help and so on. Although it's pretty intuitive to use, there's not too much help required, I think.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Fantastic. Well, I know we're now into July, and yeah, congratulations on your independence from us day yesterday. And
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Congratulations on getting rid of us. I don't know.
So yeah, we're into July, and we're working on a Social Squared release. So
Yep. We'll
yeah,
talk
if you
about that next time.
exactly, if you had your eyes peeled when it was open up on my screen, you may have seen a few subtle differences, but yeah, there's more. So yeah, tune into next week, and we'll be talking about the new features of Social Squared.
Great. All right. Well, have a good rest of your week, Brett, and I'll see you next time.
Likewise. All right,
All
take care,
right.
Sandy.
You too. Bye.
Bye.